There's a conversation happening right now in every major city across the world. A successful man, accomplished, disciplined, mentally strong, sits across from a woman he's dating and watches something bizarre unfold. She says she wants a strong man. She says she's attracted to confidence, to leadership, to someone who has his life together. But every time he demonstrates actual strength, every time he holds a boundary, every time he makes a decision without seeking her approval, she becomes irritated, resistant, hostile. Within months, she's either trying to change him or she's gone. And he's left wondering what the hell just happened. Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher who spent decades studying human nature, desire, and the dynamics between men and women, would tell this man something uncomfortable. She wasn't lying when she said she wanted strength. She genuinely believes she wants it, but what she actually wants and what she says she wants are two completely different things. And the gap between those two realities is where most modern relationships go to die. Schopenhauer wrote that nature uses women as her instruments to secure the continuation of the species, and in doing so, programs them with desires that often contradict their conscious preferences. This isn't about women being deceptive or manipulative. This is about a fundamental conflict between what modern culture tells women they should want and what their deeper psychology actually responds to. And that conflict creates an impossible situation for men who actually embody strength. The problem starts with how modern society has redefined strength itself. Today, strength is supposed to be soft, accommodating, emotional, collaborative, and endlessly negotiable. A strong man is expected to be vulnerable on demand, to prioritize feelings over logic, to seek consensus rather than make decisions, to be powerful but never use that power in ways that make anyone uncomfortable. This is what we might call decorative strength. Strength that looks impressive but serves no functional purpose. Strength that can be displayed but never actually deployed. Strength that exists for aesthetic appreciation but collapses under any real pressure. And here's the critical point. Many modern women have been taught to desire decorative strength while being deeply uncomfortable with functional strength. They want the appearance of dating a strong man without the reality of what that actually means. They want the status that comes from being with someone accomplished without the personality traits that create accomplishment. They want the benefits of masculine power without the masculine behavior that generates power. Schopenhauer observed that women are by nature meant to obey, and when they resist this natural inclination, conflict becomes inevitable. Now, before anyone loses their mind, understand what he actually meant. He wasn't advocating for tyranny or oppression. He was describing a psychological dynamic where genuine strength creates natural hierarchy, and that hierarchy either gets accepted or generates perpetual conflict. Think about what happens when a truly strong man enters a relationship. He has non-negotiable standards. He maintains his purpose even when it conflicts with relationship convenience. He makes decisions based on his judgment rather than consensus. He doesn't seek permission for his choices. He doesn't apologize for his boundaries. He doesn't compromise his frame to make others comfortable. This is functional strength, and it creates an immediate problem. Because while women say they want this, experiencing it triggers deep discomfort. His standards feel like judgment. His purpose feels like abandonment. His decisions feel like exclusion. His independence feels like rejection. His boundaries feel like walls. His frame feels like control. And suddenly, the strong man she claimed to want becomes the problem she needs to fix. This plays out in predictable patterns. She starts testing his boundaries to see if they're real or negotiable. She creates emotional situations to see if he'll abandon his frame to comfort her. She introduces chaos to see if he'll sacrifice his purpose to stabilize the relationship. She escalates conflicts to see if he'll compromise his standards to restore peace. And when he doesn't bend, when he maintains his strength under pressure, when he proves that his boundaries are real and his frame is solid, something unexpected happens. She doesn't feel more secure. She feels more threatened. Because his unwavering strength forces her to confront something modern culture has tried desperately to conceal. That masculine strength and feminine autonomy exist in tension, and one must ultimately yield to the other. Schopenhauer argued that nature designed women to secure the best possible genes for offspring, which means they're attracted to strength. But nature also designed them to secure resources and protection, which means they need influence over that strength. The modern woman wants genetic superiority without submitting to it. She wants the benefits of masculine power without granting that power any authority. She wants to be with a strong man while remaining the ultimate decision-maker in the relationship. This is a logical impossibility, but it's precisely what modern relationships demand. The truly strong man recognizes this immediately. He sees that she wants him to be strong enough to make her feel secure, but weak enough to be controlled, decisive enough to be attractive but compliant enough to be managed, confident enough to be impressive, but uncertain enough to seek her validation. This isn't a partner looking for a relationship. This is someone looking for a performance where he plays the role of strongman while she directs the show. And the moment he refuses this arrangement, the moment he demonstrates that his strength is real rather than performative, the relationship enters crisis mode. Watch what happens next. She reframes his strength as toxicity. His boundaries become controlling behavior. His standards become unrealistic expectations. His independence becomes emotional unavailability. His decisiveness becomes refusal to compromise. His frame becomes rigidity. Every quality she claimed to want gets reinterpreted as a problem that proves he's not actually a good man. He's just an asshole with a superiority complex who refuses to do the work of being in a healthy relationship. Schopenhauer called this the art of controversy, where the goal isn't truth, but victory. She's not actually arguing that his strength is problematic. She's arguing that she should have authority over his strength, and his refusal to grant that authority is being weaponized as evidence of his inadequacy. The modern woman has been trained by culture, therapy, media, and peer groups to believe that her feelings should be the ultimate authority in any relationship. If she feels uncomfortable, something is wrong. If she feels uncertain, he needs to provide reassurance. If she feels challenged, he needs to adjust. If she feels anything negative, he's responsible for fixing it. This framework makes it literally impossible for a man to maintain genuine strength, because strength requires the capacity to let others feel uncomfortable when necessary. A strong man knows that growth requires discomfort, that boundaries create temporary upset, that decisions produce winners and losers, that leadership means some people won't like your choices, that maintaining standards means some people won't meet them. But the modern woman has been taught that any discomfort she experiences is evidence of relationship dysfunction, so his strength becomes the problem. His refusal to eliminate her discomfort becomes proof that he doesn't really care. His willingness to let her be upset rather than compromise his judgment becomes evidence that he's selfish. And therapy culture reinforces this by pathologizing masculine strength as emotional unavailability, toxic masculinity, narcissism, or control issues. Meanwhile, feminine emotional volatility gets reframed as sensitivity, depth, complexity, or understandable reaction to his inadequacy. The game is rigged from the start. He can't win because the rules define masculine strength as inherently problematic, while defining feminine emotional demands as inherently valid. Schopenhauer wrote that marrying means to have one's rights and double one's duties. He understood that traditional relationship structures required men to sacrifice autonomy in exchange for sexual access and companionship. But at least in traditional arrangements, this sacrifice was acknowledged and compensated. The man gave up freedom but gained authority, respect, and clear role definition. Modern relationships demand the same sacrifice without offering any compensation. You're expected to give up autonomy without gaining authority. You're expected to provide without receiving respect. You're expected to sacrifice freedom while being told you're in an equal partnership where your needs matter just as much. This is the ultimate bait and switch. She wants your strength but not your authority. She wants your provision but not your leadership. She wants your sacrifice but not your expectations. She wants all the benefits that come from your masculine power while explicitly denying you the traditional compensation that made those sacrifices worthwhile. And here's where it gets truly insidious. The strong man who recognizes this dynamic and refuses to play along gets punished in highly specific ways. First, he gets socially isolated. She frames his strength as abusive behavior to friends, family, therapists. His boundaries become control. His standards become manipulation. His refusal to submit becomes gaslighting. And suddenly, everyone who hears her version of events agrees that he's the problem. Because modern social narratives have been designed to validate female emotional experience as truth, while dismissing male perspective as defensiveness or missing the point. Second, he gets legally vulnerable. The same behaviors that define genuine strength can be weaponized in divorce proceedings, custody battles, or restraining order hearings. His decisiveness becomes controlling behavior. His financial management becomes economic abuse. His parenting standards become unreasonable demands. His expectation of respect becomes intimidation. The legal system views relationships through the lens of female victimhood, which means masculine strength is presumed guilty until proven innocent. Third, he gets romantically eliminated. Once word spreads that he's difficult, demanding, or unwilling to compromise, he becomes undateable within his social circle. Women warn each other about him. He gets labeled as toxic or dangerous. His actual character becomes irrelevant because the narrative has been established. He's a cautionary tale, proof of why women need to avoid strong men who refuse to bend. Schopenhauer would say this is nature's way of filtering out men who won't submit to female influence. From an evolutionary perspective, women need to ensure their chosen mate will prioritize offspring survival, which requires influencing male behavior. A man who can't be influenced is evolutionarily dangerous because he might prioritize his mission over family survival. So women are programmed to test male strength and simultaneously work to gain control over it. The modern problem is that culture has removed all acknowledgement of this dynamic while keeping the dynamic itself intact. Where are you watching this from right now? Drop your city in the comments because this pattern is playing out globally. And I want to see how widespread this recognition actually is. Every major city, every culture that's adopted modern relationship frameworks is experiencing this exact dynamic. Let me know where you're seeing this happen in real time. The crisis deepens when you realize that modern women have been systematically trained to be incompatible with actual strength. Not because they're bad people, but because every message they've received since childhood has taught them that masculine strength is dangerous, oppressive, and needs to be controlled. Girls are taught that assertive boys are bullies who need to be corrected. Young women are taught that confident men are probably hiding insecurity or compensating for inadequacy. Adult women are taught that decisive men are controlling and need to learn collaboration. Professional women are taught that male leadership is patriarchal power that needs to be dismantled. Romantic women are taught that masculine strength is toxic and needs to be softened through emotional labor. By the time a modern woman enters a serious relationship, she's been programmed with 2 decades of messaging that frames masculine strength as the enemy. Then she wonders why she can't maintain attraction to the nice guys who follow her lead and can't sustain relationships with strong guys who don't. Schopenhauer argued that intellect is invisible to those who have none. Similarly, genuine strength is threatening to those who've been taught it's dangerous. The modern woman literally can't recognize the difference between authentic masculine power and performative displays of dominance. She's been taught they're the same thing. So she reacts to real strength the same way she'd react to aggressive posturing, with resistance, suspicion, and the need to establish control. This creates an impossible situation. The weak man who performs strength triggers her attraction, but reveals his weakness under pressure, creating contempt. The strong man who embodies strength triggers her attraction, but also triggers her programming. That strength must be controlled, creating conflict. There's no winning scenario because she's been trained to want something she's also been trained to resist. The strong man faces a choice: maintain his strength and accept perpetual conflict until she leaves or he ends it, or gradually weaken himself to reduce conflict, which eventually kills her attraction and leads to the same outcome. Either path leads to relationship failure. The only question is whether he maintains his integrity during the collapse or sacrifices it for a temporary peace that won't last anyway. Schopenhauer's wisdom becomes crucial here. He advised men to understand that women operate from a completely different frame of reference, and expecting them to appreciate masculine strength the way men do is a fundamental category error. Women don't value strength for its own sake. They value strength for what it can provide: security, resources, status, protection. But they also fear strength for what it might cost them: autonomy, influence, control, emotional comfort. This ambivalence is hardwired, and not something that modern culture created. But modern culture has amplified it to destructive levels by teaching women that they shouldn't have to trade anything for the benefits of masculine strength. Traditional arrangements at least acknowledged the trade. Women accepted masculine authority in exchange for masculine provision. They granted leadership in exchange for protection. They submitted to his frame in exchange for his commitment. These trades were explicit, culturally supported, and generally functional. Modern arrangements pretend no trade is necessary. Women are taught they can have masculine provision without masculine authority. They can have masculine protection without masculine leadership. They can have masculine commitment without any submission to his frame. This is sold as progress and equality, but it's actually just demanding that men provide everything while women provide nothing except access to themselves, which they're simultaneously taught is the most valuable thing they possess. The strong man sees through this immediately. He recognizes that a relationship where he provides everything while she provides access to herself isn't a partnership. It's employment where sex is the currency. And he's expected to be grateful for the opportunity. He's supposed to feel lucky that she's chosen him. He's supposed to appreciate that she's giving him a chance to prove himself worthy of continued access. This is why the modern woman can't love a strong man, because love requires vulnerability, admiration, trust, and surrender. But she's been taught that vulnerability is weakness, that admiration is internalized misogyny, that trust is naive, and that surrender is oppression. She's been trained to approach relationships as negotiation, as power struggle, as constant monitoring to ensure he's not gaining too much authority. How do you love someone you're constantly defending against? How do you trust someone you're perpetually testing? How do you surrender to someone you're determined to control? You can't. Which is why modern relationships are characterized by anxiety, conflict, and eventual dissolution. The woman can't relax into love because she's been taught relaxing means losing. The strong man can't maintain his strength while constantly proving it's not dangerous. And the relationship becomes the exhausting performance where both people are trying to get needs met while preventing their partner from having too much power. Schopenhauer observed that we forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. Modern women are forfeiting their capacity to love strong men in order to conform to cultural programming that tells them strength is threat. They're sacrificing their own happiness on the altar of equality ideology that insists masculine and feminine are identical and interchangeable. The tragedy is that many women sense something is wrong. They feel unfulfilled in relationships with weak men. They feel combative in relationships with strong men. They cycle through partners wondering why nothing works. They blame men for not being right, not understanding that they've been programmed to reject the very thing they're attracted to. The strong man who understands this has limited options. He can stay single and avoid the entire dynamic. He can find the rare woman who hasn't been fully captured by modern programming. He can pursue relationships in cultures where traditional dynamics are still respected. Or, he can accept that modern relationships with modern women will require constant boundary enforcement, repeated relationship discussions, and eventual failure when she finally finds a weaker man who'll submit to her frame. None of these options is particularly appealing, which is why we're seeing increasing numbers of accomplished men choosing solitude over compromise. They've done the math. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. The conflict required to maintain boundaries exceeds the value provided by the relationship, and they'd rather be alone with their strength intact than partnered with their strength slowly eroded. This is what Schopenhauer meant when he suggested that a man could be happy in marriage only if he philosophically accepts that it's a limitation rather than an enhancement of life. That marriage is about duty and survival of the species, not personal fulfillment or mutual growth. Modern culture rejects this framing as cynical and pessimistic. But what if he was just being honest? What if the traditional arrangement where men sacrificed freedom for sex and children was at least transparent about the trade, while modern arrangements promise fulfillment while delivering the same sacrifice without acknowledgement or compensation? The strong man who recognizes this can make an informed choice. He can decide that having children is worth the sacrifice and enter the arrangement with eyes open. He can decide his mission is more important and remain unattached. He can decide to enjoy casual relationships without commitment. But he can't expect modern women to love his strength because they've been systematically trained to fear and resist it. Understanding this doesn't make him bitter or resentful. It makes him strategic. He stops trying to find someone who appreciates his strength and starts building a life where his strength serves his own purposes. He stops seeking validation from relationships and starts deriving satisfaction from accomplishment. He stops hoping women will change and starts accepting that the game itself is rigged against masculine authenticity. This acceptance is liberating, because once you stop expecting modern relationships to reward strength, you stop being disappointed when they punish it instead. You stop trying to make broken dynamics work. You stop compromising your frame for temporary peace. You stop performing weakness to be acceptable. Schopenhauer's deepest insight was that suffering comes from desire, and the way to eliminate suffering is to eliminate the desire itself. The strong man suffers in modern relationships because he desires something that doesn't exist. He desires a woman who genuinely loves strength rather than fears it. He desires a partnership that enhances rather than constrains his power. He desires respect without having to constantly enforce boundaries. These desires are incompatible with modern reality, which means pursuing them guarantees suffering. The solution isn't finding the right woman. The solution is eliminating the desire for what modern women can't provide. This doesn't mean becoming monk or hating women. It means accepting reality and adjusting your strategy accordingly. You can enjoy female company without expecting them to appreciate your strength. You can have physical relationships without expecting emotional understanding. You can date casually without expecting someone to build alongside your mission. But you can't expect modern women to love a strong man, because everything in their programming teaches them that strong men are the problem to be solved, rather than the prize to be won. The final question is whether this dynamic is permanent or temporary. Are we witnessing a brief cultural moment that will correct itself? Or have we fundamentally altered the relationship between masculine and feminine in ways that can't be reversed? Schopenhauer would probably say that nature always wins eventually, that cultural programming can only override biological reality for so long before the system collapses and rebuilds, that women might currently be taught to resist strength, but that teaching can only last until the consequences become unbearable, and we're starting to see those consequences. Plummeting marriage rates, collapsing birth rates, rising female unhappiness despite greater freedom, increasing male withdrawal from relationships entirely. At some point, the cultural experiment of teaching women to resist masculine strength while expecting men to maintain it hits a wall. Either women will rediscover their capacity to appreciate strength, or strong men will permanently withdraw from the relationship marketplace. Either outcome changes everything. But for the strong man living through this transition, the strategy is clear. Build your life around your strength. Let your power serve your mission. Stop expecting modern women to reward what they've been taught to resist. And if you find the rare woman who can actually love a strong man, recognize her as the anomaly she is. Don't assume she represents a trend. Don't expect others to be like her. Appreciate the exception without mistaking it for the rule, because the rule is clear. Modern women can't love strong men because they've been programmed to view strength as threat. That programming won't change because one man is different or one relationship works. It changes when the culture that created it collapses under the weight of its own contradictions. Until then, the strong man stands alone, powerful but unappreciated, capable but unwanted, valuable but unrecognized. And perhaps that's exactly where he belongs. Because strength that requires external validation isn't strength at all. It's performance-seeking approval. Real strength is what remains when all approval is withdrawn, when all recognition ceases, when everyone who claimed to want it reveals they actually fear it. What remains is you, uncompromised, authentic, and free. I need to see one specific thing in the comments right now, and this tells me you actually understood what this means for your life. Write exactly this. My strength serves me, not her approval. That single sentence is your declaration that you're done performing for validation. You're done weakening yourself to be acceptable. You're done pretending that modern relationships reward the very qualities they actually punish. Drop that phrase right now. And when you do, you're standing with every other man who's decided that integrity matters more than acceptance. Make it real by putting it out there. Hitting subscribe and leaving a like on this video does something most people don't think about. Every time you do that, you're telling the algorithm that men need to hear perspectives that challenge the dominant narrative. You're voting for content that doesn't gaslight you about your experience. You're supporting the creation of more videos that tell you the truth about dynamics that everyone else pretends don't exist. This isn't just about supporting a channel. It's about creating space for conversations that society actively suppresses. When you subscribe, when you like this video, you're helping other men find this message when they're confused about why their strength keeps creating conflict instead of respect. Do it now and be part of building something that actually serves men instead of conditioning them. What's coming in the next video will take everything we discussed here and show you the specific mechanism that makes this dynamic not just difficult, but genuinely dangerous for men who don't see it coming. I'm breaking down a pattern that operates beneath every modern relationship, and once you recognize it, you'll see it everywhere. This next piece is critical because it explains why good men keep getting destroyed by dynamics they never understood until it was too late. You need to see what's coming next. Stay close, keep watching, because this next video might be the most important thing you see this year.